Hello, audience. We brought in a new project because, I didn't have enough to do already. Now, this is a 1925 Ford Model T runabout, and we're going to replace the interior and the top on it. Now, before I start working on this car, I'm going to give you a closer look at it because this is really quite an interesting vehicle. It's one, got quite a bit of its originality still intact, and two, it's got a few era modifications and aftermarket accessories on it. Now, it's been in the current owner's family since the early 40s. Its history before that is unknown, but I would say this is definitely an original California car, just guessing, because it's got very little deterioration from the weather. Now, finding a Model T in this good a condition is pretty unusual, being as how they were cheap cars, and a lot of them, people just drove them until they stopped running and then scrapped them or parted them out. The open cars especially got most of the use and sat outside, and the wood usually just rotted away after a few years and they would just fall apart. So finding an open car, especially a runabout in this condition, is quite interesting. Now, the most obvious modification to this thing is this aftermarket front bumper. It's definitely not a Ford part. Now, who made this, I have no idea. It's got these somewhat ornate clamps. It's got these eyelets, which obviously are made to hold something. I have no idea what. And looking past that, you can see the springs have been bent to lower this thing. It's lowered about an inch, I think, from stock. So somebody, I guess, was trying to make this thing look more streamlined. And then, look at the wheels. If you look closely, somebody pinstriped the spokes on this thing at one time. They were not that way originally. And from what's left of it, it looks like they did a pretty nice job. It appears to still have the original paint on it, or what's left of it. It's been touched up in a few areas, but I believe most of it is still intact. Now, this is one thing I really found interesting. On the quarter panel, this hole here is for the top saddles. Now, originally, when these cars were sold new, the saddles were included but not attached, and you're supposed to take these plugs out and screw the saddles into it, which most owners did. They just took these plugs off and threw them away. This one still has the plugs in it, which I believe are the originals. The other side, I carefully pried it out. So that's quite interesting. I've heard of these, but I've never seen them. Another unusual thing about this car is, even though the top started falling apart, they saved pretty much every piece of it. Now, most of it is pretty good. The header, that's going to need some repair. The clamps for the windshield, still have those, which those almost always go missing. And when we started digging through the piles of extra parts, we even found the top saddles. This one's missing the arm, but those are cheap. We can get one of those. The wood is obviously completely shot, so we'll have to replace that. And we'll worry about it later. Now, looking at the interior, there's a few bizarre things about it. And most obviously, the bottom cushion and the backrest have been redone, and at different times, because they have different styles, and this is obviously much older than this. What's left of the armrests, at first I thought this was the original material, because it certainly looks old enough. Then I discovered this. Now, the original tack strip came all the way out to the edge of the body, and it had a steel cap that went over it. This doesn't. Doesn't look like it ever did. So this has probably been replaced. Also, you notice, it looks like the tack strip has been replaced already, which is a good thing. It means I probably won't have to replace it. The trim panels, or what few of them are still here, I don't know if they're original or not, but they are the Proxylin coated cardboard that they originally would have been. I have no idea what condition the springs are in or anything underneath here, so we'll have to start taking it apart and see what we got. After taking it apart, we made a few discoveries. Now the tack strip across the back of the body has been replaced and is in pretty good shape. It's got a few little problems like here that will need to be fixed. And like I've said, it needs to come all the way to the edge of the body, and I think it's supposed to be a little higher. So I don't know if I'm going to add on to this or just make a new piece for here or what. But the good news is most of it is reusable. The framework for the backrest looks pretty good. It's probably going to need some repair done, but I'll worry about that later. Now the structural wood inside the body is surprisingly really nice. It's all reusable. The nails were holding pretty good. The condition of the sheet metal is also pretty surprising. As you can see down here, there's just a little bit of surface rust on here and that's it. I mean, no rust holes in it anywhere. I mean, I've seen 20-year-old cars have more rust damage than this. Keep in mind, this thing is almost 100 years old. I mean, finding an open car at all that has any of the steel from here down still in it is really unusual. And it's all here and really nice. Now this is kind of strange. So you can see over there, there's the bracket for the top saddle. Now whoever put the new tack strip in, put that one back in. They didn't bother to put the other one in though. However, they did save it, because we found this also while we were digging through the pile of extra parts. Now this is really strange. So somebody took this thing apart, replaced the tack strip, put that bracket back in, did not put the other one in, had this thing reupholstered, and saved the old bracket anyway. I've got no theory on why anyone would do that. But luckily we do have the old bracket, because these are pretty expensive to get new. And installing it is really simple. Just need to re-drill the holes and put it back in. Now after removing the old cover off the bottom cushion, I discovered this. It's the original seat upholstery. The cotton that was sitting on top of it is stuck to it pretty good, but you can see it pretty good. The pleats, it's even still got the buttons in it, and even around the sides, a lot of it is still here. So this was quite a surprise. The good thing is I can backwards engineer this and make a near perfect copy of it. Well, that's it for this video. Now the next immediate step is to start patching together the tack strip and any of the other wood that needs it, and also start making the new wood for the top irons. Now, as you probably already guessed, we're doing a stock replacement top and interior on this. Nothing custom. We're going to try to duplicate the original designs and finish on it as much as we can, within reason, using materials we can get today. More about that when we start putting it back together. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.